Coming up this week on Winchester's Deadly Passion, Melissa Bachman travels to her favorite place in the world for big bucks. She's headed to West Central Illinois, hunting with golden triangle whitetail. It's late season, and Melissa has her slug gun in hand while sitting over a giant food plot. She's had incredible success in the past, but the hot weather is making things more difficult. All this coming up next on Winchester's Deadly Passion.
When it comes to hunting whitetails, as far as I'm concerned, there is no better place to hunt in the entire world than Illinois. Now, granted, I have pretty good reason to think that. Now, I've been lucky enough to hunt all over the country, but there's one state, if I had to pick just one place to go back to, and that is Illinois. I hunt one location in West Central Illinois at Golden Triangle Whitetails, and I have had some incredible success. And the reason is simple. There are more big bucks there, in my opinion, than almost any other state in the country. Sure, there's places with a lot of deer, but I have still not seen anything that rivals Illinois. Now, some people may say, sure, Illinois is a great state, but why is it your favorite? Well, if you look at the bucks I've taken, you would understand why. I've taken a 202-inch whitetail late season on a bow hunt, a 174 on a late muzzleloader hunt, and last year I got a 164-inch buck during the second gun season. Now this, well, it all has one thing in common, and that is hunting unpressured ground late season over big food plots. As far as I'm concerned, it's one of the best times in the world to hunt. One of the main reasons I love late season hunting is the fact that these deer are run down from the rut and they're looking to really beef up. They need to get that winter fat before it gets too cold. So where are they headed? Food plots. If you have food on your property and you don't pressure it and the deer live there, well, there's one place you'll usually find them late season. That's over a food plot.
Now I'm out here for second shotgun season in Illinois. It is absolutely crazy weather. It is extremely warm. You're supposed to be having 20, 30 degrees. I'm sitting on a food plot. Instead, it's in the 70s.
When most people think of late season, you think of cold temperatures and all the deer pouring into food plots. Now usually that's the case, but not this year. In fact, the colder, the better. I'm always a fan of it being cold, but we were looking at temperatures going up into the mid-70s. We're talking a December hunt when it should be 30s and below, and now we've got 70 and above weather. Now, if that doesn't get you down, I don't know what will. But the important thing is, these deer still know winter is coming. The rut is over and they are run down. Their natural instincts tell them they need to eat. Warm or not, they need to get to those fields. So although they may not be coming out as quickly before the sun sets and as much, they're still going to be coming out. So the important thing is to stay out in the field, keep your head up, and you never know, it can happen. You're sure not going to get them back at the lodge.
Tip of the week is brought to you by Canning. The facts say a lot, but the ride says it all.
I'm guessing if you ask any hunter, they'd all agree that there's never enough time spent hunting. Time is precious for us all, and that's one of the reasons I rely on my Can-Am both in and out of hunting season. During the spring, I spend a lot of time scouting, shed hunting, and setting stands, and a Can-Am is a big help. It allows you to have a little bit higher vantage point when you're driving through CRP or grass, and you can cover a lot more ground, which leads to finding more sheds. Having an ATV is also a huge help when it comes to putting out trail cameras. I like to get into remote locations and have numerous cameras out at one time, which can be tough to check, but this eliminates a lot of unnecessary walking from one camera to the next, regardless of what the terrain is like. Although it's a great method of transportation in the spring, it's also become a very important tool in planting and maintaining food plots. I can easily get to and from remote fields that used to be a problem with a tractor, but with my Can-Am, they're a breeze. Lastly, the features are incredible, including a back seat for a second rider, a winch, and the power, it's second to none. This is one of the smoothest riding ATVs that you've ever been on. So whatever you're using it for, whether it's pre-season scouting, during your hunt, or doing food plots, an ATV can save you time and energy, giving you more precious time out hunting.
It was a little bit cooler this morning, and we did have some deer activity, so that was good. But just not a lot of big bucks up on their feet. I've been checking my trail cameras. The cutty backs show that there are bucks coming to and from this field, but most of them are at night. So whether or not the temperatures get colder, doesn't look like it. But I'm still gonna sit out here. I'm gonna sit out here every day, dark to dark. This food plot, it's a huge field. It should be good. And we probably won't see much movement during the day, but at least hopefully the mornings and the evenings will be good. So this morning started out decent. We saw a lot of deer. Not the big guy, but hopefully it'll just get better from here.
If you're looking for a good late season location, the number one thing you need to be looking for is a food source. You also want to hunt a property where the deer live there. They bed there, they drink there, they eat there. There's no reason for them to leave. And the reason I like that is if you have a big buck on your trail cam, there's a good chance he's not leaving the place. His does are there, his food is there, his water's there, and the protection of his bedding area, he is safe. He's not being pushed out on a daily basis. So if you have all those factors and you can have a good food plot to sit over, whether it's beans, corn, clover, whatever it is, you sit there during late season and you are sure to get an eyeful.
I've got a couple of small bucks coming out about 150 yards, and that's where a good number of the deer are. Now the way this field is set up, on this side, I can shoot all the way over, no problem. I've got a tree line kind of in front of me, and the field goes forever this way. So a lot of the deer right now, they've been coming out on my right side, but I see movement on the opposite side here too. So the good thing about this spot, well, I gotta keep my head on a swivel because it can come from any direction here. So I'm just gonna sit tight. Maybe these deer will help be decoys for me. If nothing else, they can at least tell me when the next deer's coming out, and that way I can make sure to see what it is. But I've got a good setup here. I think this will be good, even though it's not cold like I hoped. I'm on a big food plot, and I still need to eat at some point. When I'm hunting late season, these box blinds, they really can do a lot to keep you warm and out of the elements. But this year, well, weather isn't an issue, but it still helps on scent. You can keep most of the windows up, and that way I'm not so worried about which way the deer are coming onto the field. It doesn't really matter. I've got my scent contained in here, and I'm on an elevated platform. Now, yes, I can see through the beams. It's not that tough. But it makes it so you can see just a little bit into the edge of the woods too, because sometimes that's where those big bucks are. So I like being a little bit elevated. I'm on a great food plot. Now it's just a matter of time. We've got some deer right out here right now. Looks good, and hopefully they'll tell us when the big buck comes out.
Tip of the week is brought to you by Can-Am. The facts say a lot, but the ride says it all.
When it comes to ammo, it's hard to beat the knockdown power of a shotgun slug, and I've had incredible results. I use the Winchester Dual Bond Sabot slugs by Winchester, and the reasons, well, they're simple. With the slug, you get nearly 100% weight retention and 2 times the expansion. This creates huge wound cavities, deep penetration, and exceptional knockdown power for a quick kill. The massive hollow point cavity provides consistent upsets and great stopping performance at a variety of ranges and impact velocities. Winchester's dual bond technology is really a pretty cool concept. Their bonding process welds the inner jacket to the lead core, which improves retained weight and penetration. Then they add a heavy outer jacket that is mechanically bonded to basically create a bullet within a bullet. This design protects the inner bullet during penetration through thick hide and heavy bone, ensuring maximum retained weight and penetration. Once this bullet mushrooms, it creates a devastating shape with 12 petals for some serious stopping power. Now for accuracy. The patented sabot with steel area multiplier provides consistent sabot penetration, allowing for improved accuracy, which we all know is one of the most important aspects of all. Now there are no more trade-offs between expansion, penetration, and retained weight. This slug optimizes all 3 for clean, quick kills.
Winchester's Deadly Passion is presented by Winchester, the American legend. Matthews, catch us if you can. Cuddy Back Digital. Vogpod, versatility defined. Easton, expect the best. Winchester Repeating Arms. And Hunter Safety System.
I do a variety of hunts. Some are outfitted, some are on your own, and some are public land. But on this particular hunt, I always head to Illinois and I go to Golden Triangle Whitetail. Now they have absolutely beautiful accommodations. Now no, you don't need beautiful accommodations for good hunting. I'll take the hunting first any day. But when you have a nice place to come back to in the evening, well, that's not all bad either. And the deer, well, they are definitely here. And you can see by looking around the lodge, they have absolute monsters on the wall. And all these bucks were taken from their property in Illinois. So when you walk into a place like this, well, it sets the bar pretty high for what you can expect on your hunt.
We have over 10,000 trophy managed acres. We've been doing this now for 15 years. We plant 300 acres of food plots, 500 and some tree stands. We are set up to get you the buck of a lifetime and have the hunt of a lifetime.
One thing that I look for in any good outfitter is more than just their word that they have big bucks. If they've got cutty back cameras, well, I like to see the photos. And when you go to Golden Triangle Whitetail, well, they have an abundant supply of cutty backs. And there are a lot of beautiful bucks. And the reason I like this is you're not taking someone's word that maybe they size giant or a big buck's been spotted. You can see that specific buck. And you can use those pictures to help you scout. You can find out when they're coming through, what direction they're going, and what time of the day they're moving. Now this can give you a pretty good idea, especially on a late season hunt, of where they're going, which will probably tell you what food source they're going to be headed to. And where I was hunting, well, there was one big food source in the area. That was the 10-acre bean field that I was sitting on.
Food plots in this area are key. If you don't have food plots, especially during the late season, December, muzzleloader, late season bow, you might as well not even hunt, because the deer are going to eat, and that's where they go. And not only is that good for the deer herd, but it's also good for the hunter because it makes them a lot more huntable. You know they're going to show up and you've got a 7-acre, 9-acre bean field, cornfield in the middle of 1,000 acres. Guess where they're going to go?
Now, what makes these deer so big? Well, there's a couple of things. One is really good management. There's a 125-inch minimum, so a lot of those younger deer, well, they're not getting shot before they reach their real potential. The other thing, well, these bucks have the nutrients. They have the food plots, and the genetics are there. That's probably one of the most important things of all. If you don't have the genetics in the area, you can let these bucks grow as old as you want. They'll never get to be giants. But here in Illinois, well, it is a mecca for big bucks. and I'm lucky enough to be able to come back year after year and hunt. And one of the nice things about coming to a place year after year is the fact that I get to come back in the spring and help out. I can set a few tree stands, walk around, do some shed hunting, and my absolute favorite part, I also get to do some spring turkey hunting. Now granted, this is my favorite place to go for deer, but I'm telling you what, they also have the turkeys. It's pretty sweet when you can find a place that's this good for deer hunting and you can have this much fun turkey hunting.
Winchester's Deadly Passion is presented by Swarovski Optic, North American Hunting Club, Rage Broadheads, Golden Triangle Whitetail, Can-Am ATVs and side-by-side vehicles, Scent Killer Gold with Hunt Dry technology, and M&P Advanced by Design. Closed captioning is brought to you by the 4-in-1 Woodsman from Zippo Outdoor.
We just had another doe step onto the field. I think that's the 34th deer that we've had come out here already this morning. So the movement's good, even with the warm weather. The deer are here. This is a well-managed property, great area, and the deer are coming through. The trouble is, I haven't seen any really big bucks yet, but I've got enough real decoys on the field that I think if a big buck is strolling through this area, there'll be no question he'll come right out to the field. He's not going to be concerned at all. And that's why I like having all these does in the field. They can be tough if you're in a tree stand, but when you're in a box blind, you can get away with a lot of movement, and hopefully they'll be great decoys to bring the bucks in. There's a big buck right out in front of me here.
The problem is, this was one of the only areas that I couldn't shoot. I've got hundreds of yards on every direction that I can shoot, but this is the one place I can't. So I knew I've just got to wait. Most of the deer that I've spotted across end up filtering their way and will end up in shooting distance. So as I'm watching this buck and getting ready, well, I decided I need to keep looking on the other ends of the field, and I glanced out my side window and there was another big buck standing right there. But this buck, he wasn't behind any brush and he was just out eating in the middle of that bean field. Well, I am not waiting on a buck over there that I think might be a shooter when I've got a shooter on this side. So I decided to quickly rearrange my setup, get set up out the other window, and the entire time I was trying to be quiet, but I was also pretty nervous. He's only probably 75, 80 yards, and any little noise, well, it could send him running off that field. So as I finally got my shooting stick set up on the opposite window, he was still standing there, calm as can be, and eating.
I just shot an absolute giant buck. I don't even know where he came out of. I was watching a deer over here and I looked over and this guy, all I saw were long tines. Just a beautiful buck. I'm pretty sure this might have been the buck that I've got all those cutty back camera pictures of. I mean, we had videos, we had photos. This buck was just hitting this field. He's got real long tines.
I think it was him, and if not, I don't really care because he's awesome.
Now I've waited till it got completely dark because I didn't want to bust all the deer off the field. Now this is the last place I spotted my buck. We're right on the edge of the beans. We've got the timber here, but I'm guessing, I don't think he went too far. He got hit with a slug right behind the shoulder, and those slugs really can put these bucks down. Wow! Look at this buck. Just a beautiful buck. Look at the mass on this thing. I'm pretty sure this might be one of the oldest bucks I've taken in Illinois. Look at the bases. He's got just gnarly bases, really long 2s and 3s. Just an overall awesome buck. And the cool thing is, I've been out here hunting with golden triangle whitetails. I've had great luck in the past. But when you've got warm weather and tough conditions, well, that's when a place really pays off that has big bucks. They're out there, and this big boy just finally decided to come out and get some beans. I couldn't be more proud, and I am thrilled to have another beautiful Illinois giant.